you're staring into your cupboard. It's late afternoon. You've had a long day, you're running on fumes, and something sweet sounds like salvation. And even if you've told yourself not today, you grab the chocolate. Again, most people blame a lack of discipline. But that's not what's happening. Because that craving you feel, the one that shows up when you're overwhelmed, tired, or emotionally fried, isn't about willpower. It's a biochemical alarm system, and your body is setting it off on purpose. In 2021, researchers at Yale put people inside an fMRI scanner. They tracked participants' blood sugar in real time while flashing images of different foods in front of their eyes: broccoli, burgers, cookies, fish, and asked, how badly do you want this? When blood sugar was stable, responses were flat. Cookie? Broccoli? Meh. But when blood sugar dropped even just a little, the craving center in the brain lit up. The lower the glucose, the stronger the desire. It didn't matter if the person had just eaten 2 hours earlier. Once glucose dipped, the brain went into search mode, demanding something sweet, fast. That's the moment you know too well. Your blood sugar crashes, and your brain sends out a chemical "find sugar now" alert. So here's the twist. You're not craving sugar because you're addicted. You're craving it because your brain thinks you're in danger. And you can't outthink that with guilt or positive thinking. This is ancient biology. It's hardwired. The good news is, once you understand the signal, you can intercept it before it hijacks your next decision. Imagine a part of your brain whose only job is to push you toward comfort. Not logic, not balance, just comfort. It's deep inside your head, and it only speaks one language: dopamine. Every time you eat something sweet, this region lights up like a reward circuit. For about 90 seconds, your brain is flooded with pleasure. Focus sharpens, mood lifts, stress softens. But then comes the crash. That dopamine spike is short-lived. And when it fades, it drags your cortisol up with it. You feel heavy, foggy, anxious, and guess what your brain starts looking for next? More dopamine. This is not psychological weakness. It's a feedback loop built for survival. Sugar gives you a fast hit. Your brain remembers it. And the next time you're low, it reaches for the same fix. This is how we get stuck. Not because we're out of control, but because our brain is chasing balance using the only lever it knows. Here's where it gets more interesting. Dopamine doesn't spike because of how sweet something tastes. It spikes because of how fast the sugar enters your blood. And the faster it spikes, the harder the crash. That's why processed carbs, fruit juices, even so-called healthy snacks like granola bars hit you harder than real meals. They bypass the brakes, and your reward system gets yanked around like a puppet. If this feels familiar, it should. This is how people describe addiction: a moment of calm, followed by a longer, deeper crash, and the craving to escape it. But here's the difference. You're not broken. You're not spiraling. Your brain is just responding exactly as it was designed to. And once you see that, you can start to choose differently. Not through force, but through understanding. If this is starting to shift something for you, tap the like button. We're just getting to the good part. You probably think your sugar cravings start in the afternoon, but most of the time they begin hours earlier. Right after breakfast. Here's the setup. You wake up, maybe still a little tired, and you grab something quick. A smoothie. Granola with almond milk. Oatmeal with honey. Orange juice. Maybe a protein bar. It feels like a healthy start. But inside your body, something else is happening. Your blood sugar spikes fast. That oatmeal and juice, they push glucose up rapidly. And just as fast as it rises, it crashes. And what follows the crash? You guessed it, the craving. You lose focus. And you start looking for something, anything to eat. This is how your first meal sets your brain up for a whole day of chasing balance. You might not notice it at first. but by 11 a.m., you're distracted. By 4 p.m., you're reaching for sugar not because you're hungry, but because your body is trying to fix the mistake it made at 8 a.m. That one moment, the breakfast spike, starts the loop. Not because you made a bad choice, but because nobody taught you how blood sugar really works. The good news? And in the next section, we'll show you how. What if your body isn't asking for sugar at all? What if it's asking for something else, but sugar is just the shortcut? There's a theory in nutritional science that might explain why you can feel full and still keep snacking. It's called the protein leverage hypothesis. Here's how it works. Your body has a daily protein requirement. Not for muscles or aesthetics, but for basic function. Enzymes, hormones, cells, immune repair. Without enough protein, your body keeps sending hunger signals. But here's the catch. It can't send a specific message like go eat salmon. It just keeps the hunger switch turned on. So you eat what's available. Carbs, snacks, leftovers. Still hungry, still craving. Let's say your breakfast is a smoothie with fruit and oats. It tastes great, gives you energy, but it contains almost no protein. So by mid-morning, your body is still missing something essential. And what do you feel? That nagging urge to snack. Not because you're greedy, because your system is still waiting for its core building block. In one study, participants who ate higher protein meals naturally consumed fewer calories throughout the day. No restriction, no tracking, just satiety. And here's the twist. When you don't give your body enough protein early in the day, your hunger doesn't go away. It just changes shape. And often it shows up as a sugar craving later. This is why so many people can't stop snacking at night. It's not a discipline issue. It's leftover hunger from the morning that was never resolved. Which brings us to the next section. Because if sugar cravings are often rooted in protein deficiency, then the most powerful fix might be your first meal of the day. If cravings are messages, then breakfast is the first conversation of the day. And most people are starting it with the wrong language. Because when your body wakes up, what it's actually hungry for isn't sugar. It's stability. It wants blood sugar that rises gently, not in a spike. And it wants protein, so it can stop asking for it later. This is why one of the simplest, most powerful changes you can make is switching from a sweet breakfast to a savory one. We're not talking about extreme diets or cutting carbs completely. We're talking about giving your body what it's missing before the cravings even start. Think eggs with avocado, Greek yogurt with seeds and a handful of almonds, leftover roasted chicken with spinach, lentils with olive oil and herbs. It might feel unusual at first, especially if you're used to cereal or smoothies. But the shift is immediate. Within one day, you'll feel fewer dips, more energy, more focus, less reaching for snacks. And it's not just about how you feel. The glucose data backs this up. People who start their day with a savory, protein-rich meal have fewer glucose spikes throughout the day, which means fewer crashes and fewer cravings that feel like emergencies. Here's the twist. You don't have to cut out sugar. You just have to stop starting your day with it. Once your body has protein and your blood sugar is stable, you've already taken away two of the biggest reasons your brain reaches for something sweet. So tomorrow morning, skip the juice. Skip the granola. Feed your body what it actually needs. Because the most powerful way to stop cravings is to never trigger them in the first place. You're not just craving sugar for energy. You're craving it for relief. You had a long day. You're overwhelmed. You're exhausted. And you reach for something sweet, not because you're hungry, but because you need to feel better, fast. Here's what's happening. As soon as sugar hits your tongue, your taste receptors send a signal straight to your brain. And your brain responds by flooding you with dopamine. That's the pleasure hormone. It gives you a moment of ease, a pause in the chaos. But the effect is short. 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. And once that dopamine wears off, your body feels the drop. Cortisol kicks in. That's your stress hormone. You don't just return to baseline, you sink lower. More tired, more anxious, more reactive. And what helps you feel better? Another hit of sugar. Another dopamine bump. This is the trap. Your brain remembers the relief, not the crash. So every time you feel low, it reaches for the only tool it thinks works. And the more you do it, the more your dopamine response adapts. It starts needing more sugar for the same relief. And your baseline mood drops when you're not getting it. Now here's the part no one talks about. This entire cycle has nothing to do with actual hunger. It's not physical. It's emotional. And emotional cravings are louder. They come with urgency. They come with guilt. And they're harder to ignore. But once you see it, you can stop blaming yourself. Because your brain isn't broken. It's just doing the best it can with the inputs you've given it. And the moment you give it something different, the cycle starts to loosen. We'll show you how in the next part. Let's say you still want to eat sugar. You love chocolate. You're not giving up dessert. Good, you don't have to. Because the goal isn't to eliminate sugar. It's to stop letting it hijack your body. And the way to do that is to change how sugar enters your system. The first trick is timing. Eat sugar after a full meal, not on an empty stomach. When there's protein, fiber, and fat already in your stomach, they slow the release of glucose. That means smaller spikes, fewer crashes, and a calmer brain. The second trick is dressing your carbs. This one's simple. If you're going to eat something sweet or starchy, add a source of protein or fat. Chocolate cake? Eat it with Greek yogurt. Yes, it sounds strange, but it works. The yogurt slows down digestion, flattens the spike, and keeps your brain out of panic mode. Even a handful of almonds before a cookie can make a real difference. Then there's vinegar. 1 tablespoon in a tall glass of water before a high-carb meal can reduce your glucose spike by up to 30%. Researchers have shown that vinegar slows down enzymes that break carbs into sugar. It also helps your muscles pull in more glucose, so less stays in your bloodstream. Less spike, less crash, less craving. And if you can't stand the taste, you're not alone. Some people use lemon juice or fermented foods instead. Same effect, different flavor. You don't need to do all of this perfectly. Just one of these changes can help you step off the craving roller coaster. Because it's not about restriction. It's about strategy. Once you start layering in these little fixes, the urgency softens. The cravings become quieter. And you finally feel like you're in control again. The craving was never the enemy. It was a signal. And now you know how to read it. You're not fighting your body anymore. You're working with it. You're not suppressing hunger. You're listening to what it really needs. Maybe for the first time, it makes sense. That 4 p.m. crash, that late night snacking, that endless loop of guilt and starting again tomorrow. It wasn't a flaw in your personality. It was a misfire in your biology. And now you have the tools to fix it. Not through punishment, but through small shifts that finally align your brain and your body. Imagine this. You wake up and feel focused. You eat meals that actually satisfy you. You walk past the chocolate and smile because you know you're not owned by it anymore. That's the version of you that's been waiting. And every choice you make from here brings you closer to her. If this gave you clarity, if it helped you understand something that's been confusing or frustrating for years, then this channel was made for you. Because we're not here to shame habits. We're here to decode them, to help you feel at home in your body again, and to turn information into quiet power. So if you're done with the roller coaster and ready for real clarity, subscribe. We're just getting started.